my good friend Ed Pearson here.
Hey, how you doing? You well?
Coach, I'm good. I'm good. Yourself?
Very well, thank you.
That's good, that's good. So, what are we going to talk about today?
We're just going to chat, I think. In fact, we're going to do a series of videos where we just talk about all things business and karting and just see how it goes from there.
Sounds like a grand idea.
Cool. How's it all going out there?
Well, it's started to come back. You know, the outdoor tracks are open here. They've got Australia, New Zealand open. We've got America open and parts of Europe, you know. There's still a bit more to come.
Is it like a mixed bag out there currently?
Of tracks reporting phenomenal figures, right? Figures much bigger than they would normally expect.
Yeah.
I spoke to an outdoor track the other day here in the UK, and he's nearly as busy as he is normally in August, so which is fantastic, which is the height of our summer.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, fairly positive.
Yeah, I see this a lot. We've got, I think there's a real appetite. COVID is obviously, it's at the time of recording, it's April 2021 and we're in the UK, and I know it's not the same across all of the globe. So people are in different positions regarding COVID. But any time that there's big change, you tend to notice that the environment changes, and I think there's a real appetite currently, possibly globally. You might disagree in a second. But I reckon that globally there's a real appetite, I think, for getting out and having experience and doing stuff, because I think people have been cooped up for too long and they're looking around and you've had a chance to reflect, and it's only when things slow down a little bit that you start to work out really what you want to do. Is that what you've seen borne out across
Yeah, I mean here, we've had over the last 12 months, we've had 7 of them locked up inside. So there is this pent-up demand for doing activities that we have been not able to do. You know, in Australia, most places were only locked down for 3 months, and they started reopening in June, July last year. But they've been majorly busy right up until today, so they're still busy, you know. It's very strange.
Yeah, I think that macro picture, that big picture globally, I think where people have just had a chance to slow down and have a think about what they really want, is also reflected in the micro. So I think there'll be business owners sitting there possibly looking at what they've created, and as a business owner you're responsible for everything you create in your business, which is weighs heavily on the shoulders to start with, but the real payoff is that you get to decide where you take it. So that macro picture where everybody's raring to get out there and change experience, I think also individually in tracks, I think there'll be business owners sitting there with their track thinking, I didn't think it'd be like this. I want it to be different. How did we end up in this position here? And they'll have taken a moment. Now, they may have a plan to go forward, in which case that's frigging awesome, because that's a really cool idea to do. But do you think there's a lot of people, and I don't just mean kart track owners, but I think it does apply to a lot of kart track owners, that you sit there in business and you know you want something to be different, but you just don't know quite how to get there? Does that come around a lot?
Yeah, no. I mean, when you look at the tail end of last year, a lot of kart tracks in the UK were struggling. This was at the point where, you know, we had this weird tier system, and nobody knew what you're able to do in the tier system. I had quite a few, like the majority of tracks were saying, "Oh, we're not very busy."
Yeah.
And then you had these other ones who were actually in smaller catchment areas. They're just going, "Oh, we are rammed." Like from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. it's chockers.
Yeah. Day
in, day out. The big difference was that the ones that were rammed planned to be that way. You know, they got out on their on the phones, and they called their past customers and they said, "We're open, you know, come down." They nurtured their list. They sent emails out to their list encouraging them to come down. And I think a lot of the others just opened up, you know, could have spent money on Google, which wasn't much good because people didn't know what you could do, so they weren't necessarily Googling go-karting. They were out on social media, you know, which is very hit and miss, social media. You put something on Facebook, how do you know it's going to get to your customer base? Whereas emails, They've been there. They know, like, and trust you, or you hope they do if you provided the right experience. So it's just a no-brainer, and it's cheap.
So where you've gone there, it's interesting because we talk globally, and when we get into the micro about the kart tracks, you've gone straight to the marketing angle. Is that the most important job for a kart track owner, to get into their market?
It's one of them, right? The marketing will help draw the people in.
Yeah.
However, you've still got to provide the right experience.
Yeah.
There's no point attracting the customers to come and have a kart ride. You know, you may have the fastest karts or the longest track, and everyone's got that. If you stuff up on the customer service and the experience side of it, it doesn't matter if they're winging it around there in a Formula One car.
Yeah.
They're going to have a shit time.
Yeah, so let's back up a second on there, because there's a lot of stuff in there that needs to be broken down a little bit. So first things first is you've got to get the customer to the track. And then there's the second thing, which is what happens when they're at the track. So let's just go back a second, because we've just dived into, you mentioned Facebook, you've mentioned emails, you've mentioned Google. I've been to quite a few go-karting tracks over the last few years. I take my business clients out and we go go-karting fairly often. And I can sum up what I hear from go-kart tracks in regards to the way they look after me after I've visited them. And it goes something like this. And then after a few months of that, I then get a text come through, like I did the other day, saying, name of go-kart track, 10% off, we're open again, come and book. So I've heard nothing, they're like the worst friend I've ever had in my life. It's like a friend with an MLM multi-level marketing company. I haven't seen them since school. And then they turn up and they go, hey, do you want to come and buy some of this, mate?
Yeah, some Avon. Do you want some Avon perfume?
There we go. So I'm like, right, great. I haven't met you for absolutely weeks and years, and now I've met you, you want some money off me. Okay. And I think within the karting world, some of them do it really well. In fact, there's one track in the UK, or two tracks by the same owner, but they have really got this area nailed extremely well. But the vast majority of go-kart tracks globally, because I've heard the conversations in America, and I think we'd probably look at America as leading the way in customer service, probably. Arguably. There'll be people spitting fens now listening to this, going, how dare you, us Swedish track owners, we know how it works. I get all that. But talking generally, I just think that the karting sector, I've got to say it, they just don't seem to get this. They don't go through that know, like and trust sequence. And what I mean by the know, like, that somebody gets to know you, then they get to like you, and then you've got to get to a level where they trust you. And this doesn't just happen because we turned up at their track back in 2018, and now you think because I'm on a database that I'm just going to turn up because you gave me 10% off today.
Or you emailed me for my birthday.
Yes.
You know, it's that whole nurturing sequence.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting in front of your customers every now and then, and building a form of relationship.
So is that the key task for the kart track owner, is to get in front of the customers?
Yeah.
And how often should they be doing this?
I would like to say the bare minimum every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Weekly if you can. But I don't want, I'll come down for, Monday night madness on a templated email. Because I tell you what, I've got so many emails in my inbox that if it's a templated email, it's just usually deleted. You know, you can see it came from someone.
Yeah.
That's trying to sell me something. I've got several people who I'm on their email list.
Yeah.
A couple of them I read every email religiously.
Yeah.
And others I read bits and pieces. It's because
why? Yes.
It's entertaining and engaging.
There we go. Right. So, if we're talking email, there's lots of ways to communicate. We've mentioned email, Facebook, Google. There are other ways to do it. Text, we've also mentioned. But there are plenty of ways to contact customers. But it has to be engaging and entertaining. Imagine you're the customer and you've suddenly just turned up to go, and you've gone somewhere and they're just asking you to go and spend money with them. It makes you feel a bit cold inside. So how easy is it to write engaging, entertaining material? It's not easy.
It's not that easy. I mean, Christ, let's be honest about this now. You and the guys in the barn.
They don't know where the barn is, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's
I work out of a converted barn in the UK. It's glorious, but we'll put that to one side.
You guys started writing my emails.
Yep.
And I got really good responses from. And, you know, I learnt how to write them. But you must have written emails for me for at least a good 6 months before I threw my hat in the ring and had a crack at it.
It was something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not easy. And, you know, even sometimes I struggle. But I get far more engagement. You know, I used to send out the email that I've got this great range of helmets on a template. You know, these helmets, they're $25.95. They've got great visors. They come in different colours and all of that. Great. Okay, I've got a few responses. Yeah, I'll have a helmet. You know, how much for a helmet?
Isn't it always the responses that the business owner will hold up, go, look, it works. Because I've got this one person came down on a wet Sunday afternoon for a go on the go-kart track.
You know, since I've changed that, I mean, with all the stuff that's happened in the last 12 months, I lost my way a little bit with my emails. But I reactivated them about 3 weeks ago.
Right, so I've got loads of questions here. When you lost your way, you mean you stopped sending them for a short while?
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. I want to wind back now. You've probably been sending emails out for, I'm going to guess, about 3 years?
The nurturing type of emails?
Yeah, about 3 years or so.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 years, yeah, probably.
Cool. So talk to me honestly now, if you can recall, specific time you had the first email to be sent out to your list. Because we're 3 years into this journey of speaking to our customer database. So doing stuff like this video, sending emails, it just comes second nature. We didn't even know we were doing a video today. No. You said we're doing a video. Yeah. Like, cool, let's just talk. And we are just talking. So, first email, cards on the table. How did you feel? What was the first email looking like?
Right. First email you read me. You sent it, right. Simon, don't change a bloody thing. Send it out as is. Don't change anything.
Don't use a template.
Don't use a template. Plain text. It must come from you. And it was sort of like, have you lost your mind, Ed? I can't send this out. Who's gonna care about my mate who shops at 3 different places?
Supermarkets. Yeah. That was the first email.
Oh, it was one of the first.
Is it sad I can remember it?
You know, it was either that or can you find £1 million down the back of your couch?
Yes.
Might have been the first one, right? But I had people respond to me, go, yeah, I found an old Werther's. What does that tell you? It's just like, this guy's got a laugh out of it. He's engaged with it.
I'm laughing now. It's my own copy. How sad is that?
You know, it's great. I mean,
I think that's the big takeaway, though. You see, I think the big problem. I'm going to use the karting industry because you're probably in the karting industry if you're watching this. The biggest problem in the karting industry is all the marketing is designed to make a sale. And you're probably sitting there thinking that is just plain crazy. Of course, we're here to make a sale. No, you're not. Your marketing should only make a conversation. If a conversation leads to a sale, then that's a fantastic day. If a conversation doesn't lead to a sale, but you left them feeling better about your relationship, you've still won. And if you are consistent and you get into the routine of communication in your marketing, you always win out.
A nurturing sequence, constantly getting in front of your customers, is so important for kart tracks. Because the majority of a circuit's customer base aren't regulars. They might come once a year, once every 2 years. So you need to be in front of them to remind you. And you know, when they do turn around and you say to me, "Hey Simon, why don't we go karting?" I go, "Okay, where should we go?" "Oh, why don't we go down to Crazy Karts down in Ringwood there?"
Yeah.
You know, because Dave's been sending me emails. He's got a really cute lab and he loves Italian coffee. It's just front of mind. It's there.
Yeah, I think, well, there's another bit. There's 3 ways to grow a business. There's only 3 ways to grow a business. Put your prices up, sell more of it, get people to buy more often. And I think that bit there, get people to buy more often, is so often overlooked. And I think once you get your head around, actually, they're the warmest audience. So we're just guilty of missing out on the warmest audience because we don't communicate, we don't nurture that relationship. And yet it gives them massive dividends. And if you could just get somebody who comes down to the track once every 3 years to come down twice a year, you would resolve all your revenue and profit issues overnight almost. Remember, an overnight success takes years, but you get towards the end of like 3, 4, 5 months of doing something where you're building that rapport, and you look back, you'll notice the difference in your bank account.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
I think we talked a bit about how to get somebody down the track, and we've hinted we might talk about what happens at the track. So perhaps we will cut it now. Thanks for hanging in there on this video, and we'll do a few more videos like this. We've warned you, and we'll take it all from there.
All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.